Welcome to Cross Examine with the Gerbers. We have Megan Gerber here, Ken Gerber, and drum roll, please, A.D. Adams.
Get that?
Woo-hoo!
Get that drum roll?
You literally get it.
Here we go. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. Look, you guys, this is nice here.
Thank you.
What's going
Thank
on
you.
around here?
I know. And even the table leg, which you can't you can probably see. That's leather. Did you know that?
Is it? Did you know I'm not wearing pants?
And we're off. So anyway, I don't know what most people think when they hear the term hardest working man in show business. My personal opinion, that's you.
Yes. Or the heart. You know what? I've asked you this before. You have the most muscular hands, probably being a drummer.
I can open any jar.
I'm sure.
I was kind of the utility guy when we were growing up. Mom would go, I need those pickles open. So, drummer hands would go open that pickle jar.
Ask AD.
Yeah.
So let's get a little background of us knowing each other and our relationship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so-
a great story.
Yeah, you're Jack's drummer with Three Heart Cross.
Yes.
But let's go back to how we even got in touch. I think it was the two of you, right?
Well, it was a mutual friend, Ken Howie, who is a heavy metal guitar player here in town, plays with a band called Empire of Desire, great band. You should check them out. Gave me a call and said, all right, you need to sit down. I'm going to try to explain something to you. And I might have a gig that you might be interested. So he went ahead and told me how there were castles in Poland that were inherited and all this crazy, and woman wakes up and she's a princess and there's a Polish tour and do you want to go? Call this number. So I called the number and it was
Call this 1-800 number.
it was Megan, and I'm going, okay, I hear there's a princess and some castles in Poland and there's a gig. And she went on to explain, what was going on with the
situation,
mission and everything. And I went, it sounds like a great thing, And she's like, well, would you be interested in going? I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. And I had no idea what I was getting into. None. In my brain, I'm going, this is not a typical fly into the city, the tour bus picks you up and you do your thing and then you go home. I had no idea what was going to happen in between arrival in Poland and when we leave Poland. I didn't know what the days were going to be like.
Right.
Tours that I've been on for my whole life. It's just, you're in your hotel. If you want to go get room service or go downstairs and grab something to eat or walk around the town, you play your gig at night and then you shove off to the next town. So I didn't know, but it turned out to be an amazing mission.
Yeah.
The friends that obviously made some great friends along the way. And then to be able to play Jack's music and help him along and kind of mentor him in the industry and all the, the pitfalls and all the stuff that there is along the way. It was just quite an honor. And then here we are.
And I have to say something that was very humbling because he is so humble. We're literally all day long and we're going all day. And then when we get back to the hotel, this is the first tour, we sit down to have a drink. And I said, AD, I saw on Facebook it's your birthday today and you've not said one thing all day long.
That's right.
Are you kidding me?
You kept it secret from us. Megan figured it out.
Yeah.
You didn't say a word, and here we are walking around.
2 years.
And it was his birthday. He was birthed that day. We had no idea.
No, it's you get my age and birthdays just become a thing. You go, oh no, not another one, and you start doing that.
Not when you're around Megan. You don't get to just slide through a birthday without it being a big deal.
I found that out. I was fortunate enough to accompany you all on 2 trips now to Europe, to Poland and everything, and both years were my birthday. So it's just the way it happens to fall. So it was cool. It was really cool. It's like it's my
we
birthday.
keep you captive every year for your birthday. Yay!
I don't mind that at all. I can be kidnapped easily.
And we've developed this, I don't know, very dear friendship as well.
Absolutely.
And you truly are pouring into Jack and mentoring him and just taking him under your wing, which we are eternally grateful for. And I think Jack's a better person and a better musician for it as well. And you've also got the studio and recorded his new release in your studio.
Well, it's when you're a guy like me, I'm kind of a mercenary. I'm an independent artist. I'm I work like this year alone, I've worked with 12 acts already and done touring and fly gigs and things like that. And the opportunity to do something new for somebody like me is always fun. It's just always like, I've done this. You always look for something new. And then Jack is such a unique, beautiful soul.
Right.
He's just a good guy. He's a good kid. He's ridiculously talented. And I'm sitting kind of there just from taking the gig, so to speak. And I'm sitting there right in the middle of it going, this guy could really do something, and just a little guidance here and there.
Yeah.
He's got the raw talent. And if I am here, well, just give him any advice I can give him. And then the subject of him recording came up, and I'm like, well, I got a studio and we're doing this anyway. And I'm playing drums. It's just like, so I called an old, my old musical partner, my musical wife, if you will.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan. Saying, when are we going to have him on?
Yeah, Ryan McKay. And, who's been a musical partner of mine for 20 odd or more years. And we've made so many records together. And it just made sense. It's like, well, if I'm going to do this with Jack, I want to get Ryan involved because Ryan is just so technically proficient and knows his theory. And I know that he's going to be able to help Jack in ways that I can't, like, hey, that chord doesn't fit, or, when it comes down to the music theory thing. And Ryan is also an amazing engineer, audio engineer. So, with me producing, Ryan co-producing and engineering, it's like, this is going to be a breeze, and it's also going to be a lot of fun. And I figured if we're going to bring Jack in and record his stuff, let's make it fun. Let's make it loose. Let's not have this strict, tense, got to get it right kind of attitude thing. It's my studio. The clock isn't running. The clock is not ticking. We can do whatever we want 1,000 times and then erase it and start again if we want to, because there's no studio cost involved.
Right.
So we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want.
Right. And what I love about you guys is Jack's not afraid to say, you know what, I think I want to try this. And you're not afraid. And you guys all take each other's suggestions and opinions to heart. I mean, in a nice way, but then also like, no, I don't think that'll work. Or you're saying, I want this. And Ryan's like, we're not doing that. And Jack's like, but what about this? Well, and you guys really work well together and nobody's really afraid of saying anything. At least it doesn't seem that way when we've been there.
I've been in situations musically where the producers are so strict and so demanding, and no, I'm the boss. Because when you're in a studio with a producer, it's his word. The producer gets his way. I don't care if you're the artist and have been doing it for years. When the producer's in there, the record label or whoever has paid that producer, he makes that final decision. He or she makes that final decision. I don't like those. The artist has something to say, obviously, or he wouldn't have written the song.
True.
So I want to hear his vision all the way through. I want to weigh it out. I'm going to use logic. We refer to the book a lot. It's the book of rock, which really doesn't exist. I think we're continuing to write it every day, but rock logic says that if we do this, it's going to turn out okay. So Jack is slowly learning the book.
Yes,
and,
yes, he is.
And he gets what we say. So we refer to that jokingly and this mythical book that doesn't exist. But there is certain logic. There is certain things along the way that in my, 50 odd years in this business, I've seen that this is the way to do it, consistently works. Don't mess with it. But yeah, the push and pull between Ryan and Jack and I sometimes, and then it's not just this idea against this. There could be 5 or 6 ideas on the table.
Oh, well, that's the part that's really, really amusing, because Megan and I get so amused with it that we don't like to miss those recording sessions. And it's really just about seeing the three of you together, just bouncing off of each other. And it's not just, you're right, this idea or this idea. It's you guys will start down a tangent and you'll end up 100 miles away and just laughing the whole, let's put a goat sound in.
Yeah, mic up the billy goat.
And here's Jack, 19. And sometimes he'll be like, he'll look at us. I think I might want AD to redo that one. And here, he has so much respect for you. And so he doesn't ever, and you can tell, you're like, Jack,
Say it, Jack. Say it. That's the thing. You know, we try to tell him, it's like, none of this is personal.
I know.
None of this is personal.
Right.
You just want to make a good record. And we want to turn your song. We're not just recording your song. We're making a record.
Right.
And there's a difference between recording a song and making a record, and how it's done, and when you're meticulous with it, and all the things that go into it. And I guess the one thing that I think is hopefully been a really big lesson for Jack, and that a lot of us old veterans kind of know, is that you're never, ever, ever going to be 100% happy with the record. The minute it's okay, it's finished.
Right.
It's like doing the Mona Lisa, and you go, I need to put one more strand of hair in there. It's
Right.
like, when's it done?
Right.
Or man, this one part's bothering me, and you can redo it 20 times, and for some reason it's still driving you nuts. It's like, stop. It'll drive you nuts forever. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not wrong. It's just, it's bugging you. And that's a big lesson that we've all learned along the way. If you've done enough recording, is this you do the record, don't look back.
Right.
Get the next one done. Start working on the
Well,
next
he'll
one.
do that. He'll come to us with a song and he'll play it for us and say, do you hear that? And we say, no.
No.
I hear a great song, Jack. No. Do you hear this? Do in there. And I'm
And
like,
he'll literally play it for those 10 seconds.
Jack, I don't even hear that in the song.
Now, AD,
like, it's not right.
I have to ask you, you did have something personally affect you when you were younger
Yes.
with Chuck Berry. Could you enlighten us with this story?
Yeah, talking about not being personal. Chuck forgot. Mr. Barry must have forgotten that rule. I was probably 19 years old, and my first band. My older brother, he's a year older than me, and we formed a little band in our basement, bedroom, when we were 10 and 11 years old. And that band was my only band up until I was 27 years old. And we toured, we traveled. And
You guys were pretty accomplished in that short period of time.
we did a lot of stuff in that amount of time. But one of the things we did, we played down in Orlando, Florida. And we played on a Friday and Saturday night. It was this huge club, 1,500 seat, just enormous club. And I think our booking agent perhaps forgot to give us the memo, because we played Friday, Saturday. We finished Friday night, and as we're walking out the door to go to our hotel, the club owner stopped us and handed us a cassette tape, Chuck Berry's greatest hits. And he's like, well, you better bone up on this, because then we're like, what's going on? He goes, well, you're going to be Chuck Berry's band tomorrow night. I'm like, oh, man, like, that's no pressure. Who told us? Now, my brother and I, we grew up playing, learning all the standard rock stuff. So we pretty much knew most of the Chuck Berry stuff. But so it was going to be my brother on guitar, myself on drums, our bass player, and Chuck Berry. One of our guitar players had to sit out, unfortunately. But so we get, 4 or 5 songs in, and we had already played Roll Over Beethoven, and we're in the middle of playing Nadine, honey, is that you? Oh, Nadine. And Chuck, the audience is loving it. Chuck's doing his duck walk and all the cool guitar tricks and stuff. And I'm just thinking, this is the greatest, back there. And my brother's up there rocking. I'm looking at him like, dude, we're playing with Chuck Berry. And Chuck, he goes to the mic, and after his big solo, he starts, I can only see the back of him, because he's facing the audience, as am I. So he's turning around and going, what was I saying? Yelling at me. And I'm like, I don't know what he's saying.
Right.
So I'm playing, and you could tell there was a lot of stress. Okay, here it comes. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's notorious for losing his temper on people. So I thought, oh God, this is not going to be one of these, is it? And he turns around again, starts yelling, and I don't know what he's saying. I'm like, so finally he spins, walks toward me, like with daggers in his eyes. And he's going, what song was I singing? And I'm going, Nadine, Chuck, Nadine, dooka-taka,
Right.
And he's just looking at me like daggers. And so he goes back to the mic, and then he didn't register. He starts scatting. Shooba dabba deeba blah blah blue. And I'm going, oh no, no. And he stops. And he turns around and looks at me, and then he says to the audience, and I can't say it here because it's probably, I don't want to make this R-rated, but he said a few things about me to the audience, about just how terrible the drummer was. And it was, I can't quote him, but it was the worst. I mean, I'm 19 years old. I'm as high as I can be because I'm playing with Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
This is like what an amazing.
And 1 minute you're feeling that high. Like literally you're like, look at us.
And
this is fantastic. And then he crushes it.
You know, tears started rolling out of my eyes and I'm like up on stage and I felt like I just was shrinking and I just wanted to shrink into a little blob on my seat and just crawl away, but I couldn't. I had to finish the set and it was I was in tears and it was horrific. So, you know, I used to do a podcast, Ryan McKay and I used to do a podcast called The Shabby Road Record Show, and it's still out there. It's a music podcast. And we did an episode, what was your favorite gig ever that you've done? Of course, I played with Chuck Berry. And then we did another episode, what was the most embarrassing, worst gig you've ever had? And it's like, I play with Chuck Berry. It was a long night, man.
Well, can you find any positive in your life and in your career that came from that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's don't let the bastards get you down.
Yeah.
You know, I had to finish the gig. I couldn't walk off that stage. I didn't have time to tissue up and get my crap back together. I was in the middle of a song and I got work to do.
Yeah.
And I think at that point in time, I learned that, man, this is a tough business. And if you want to do this, you better grow a spine and some really thick skin. And I learned that from that. And here was Chuck Berry, still my hero. You know, I had a similar encounter with the great Buddy Rich, you know, and I was a kid. And, you know, I guess when you meet your heroes, you have to understand that they're people.
Yeah.
They're human beings and they are quirky and they're, you know, some of them are in powerful positions and some aren't that nice. And so I learned a lot of that. Just have some thick skin.
But it also didn't ruin your career. Look at you. You're on Alice Cooper's latest record.
Yes.
You've been signed by major labels before. And here you are. I'm not going to say your age, maybe 40 years later.
66.
And you are a thriving musician. And so what would that advice for other 19-year-olds, Jack's 19, other kids where people are like, you suck, you'll never be anything. Look at you today. That was actually not the case.
Yeah, you know, it's a matter of, see, to me, it's a matter of what you think you're worth. I believe that. What other people think I'm worth is irrelevant. They're not paying my bills. They're not the ones, you know, when the electric bill comes or you know, rent is due, my name's on that check. I got to sign that check. So I can't depend on anybody else to do that. And it's the old, you know, I'm a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And there's a scene in there where, you know, if you're not familiar with the movie, it's basically, it's kind of a modernized version of Frankenstein, you know, where this Dr. Frankenfurter creates a man for himself. And when the creature comes to life, he's running around and, you know, and Tim Curry, who plays the part, he's like, oh, he's beautiful. He's beautiful. And one of his friends goes, he's okay. And Frankenfurter says, and I've always taken it, he goes, I didn't make him for you. I didn't make him for you. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this. I hate to say it, but I'm doing this for me. It's my life. I have to live it the way I want. You know, and I have to call my own shots and I have to not be bothered. And if somebody wants to kind of keep me down or push me around, I'm going to make my own mind up. And that's part of being an independent artist, you know, as a mercenary. So I'll take a gig on a number of reasons. Like, okay, the money's great. Okay, I need the money. I'll go do the gig. It's a good friend, but it doesn't pay. He's a good friend. I'll go do the gig. You know, it doesn't pay. You don't know anybody, but it's going to be good for your career. Okay, I'll take the gig. So I have this list of criteria and the reasons why I do things. But the whole point is, again, that nobody makes those decisions. I have to, as an independent artist, because I'm not contracted to anyone or any label at this point, which you appreciate. I am so free and I so love it. And I've been tied down, contracted and basically handcuffed.
Yeah, you've given us some insight about that in the music world for Jack. And it's been very, very helpful to us to understand that.
And it enlightened him that one time you were telling us how a lot of people just, they are tied to that. They can't go to funerals. They can't go to birthday parties. They can't go to their child being, their birth of their own child because the record company owns you. And, Jack said he got teary-eyed when you were explaining all that because he loves music, but he's also grateful he's getting his degree. So he has options as well.
Well, that's what you have to understand is that you do have options. And a lot of people don't think that. They think that if I don't do this, then my career is over. And again, back to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I didn't make him for you. You didn't make me. Therefore, you can't break me. You didn't put me in the game.
Right.
You can't take me out of the game. If this isn't working, if this particular project isn't working, I'll just go to another project. I'm not going to destroy this one. I'm just going to simply walk. It's not working out. The chemistry doesn't feel right for whatever reason. And so when you're an independent artist, you have to pick and choose your battles, but be professional. Don't leave anybody hanging. Even if it's an uncomfortable situation, don't walk away from it with business unfinished.
Right.
Or that's on you. And so your reputation follows you everywhere. You have to be very careful about maintaining your quality of work. Your reputation is important. So it kind of goes back to the, you didn't make me, but you can't break me. That's really up to me. If I'm leaving a sour taste everywhere I go, that's on me.
Yeah.
And I've destroyed my own career. I prepare. I do an incredible amount of prep work. I try to stay versatile so that as an instrumentalist, if somebody calls me with a jazz gig, I can take the jazz gig. I can take the rock gig. I can take the metal gig. I can take the reggae gig because I'm versed in all these styles. It's much like an actor, like a De Niro can do a Southern accent or a German accent or a Chicago accent. Or oops, sorry. So a good actor with their chops can play any role and becomes believable.
Right.
And not just believable, but actual and genuine. So that if you don't want to hear a jazz artist trying to play rock, or you don't want to hear a rock guy trying to play reggae because it becomes obvious. But true dialect and understanding these dialects and learning the language and understanding how it works, language of music, I should say, will keep you working. And if you focus on your own craft, all the peripheral, and there's a lot of peripheral
noise.
Yeah.
Well said. I was use the other phrase, but
and there's a lot of people trying to compete because I know that there's kids that have pushed Jack aside, and there's other, and you feel like saying there's enough room for everybody.
There is.
You don't have to cut somebody down next to you to have you have the limelight. There's enough room for you to be good, that person to be good. And that's where it gets to people's heads, I think, that they have to step on someone else for them to look better.
Yeah.
And you're not like that at all.
No, I'm matter of fact, I'm the victim of that. I always tell people, because I do a lot of, like I said, mercenary work where, I'll get a call on a Friday morning and say, we need a drummer tonight, or drummer, something happened. And so I'll send me your set list. So I'll get 40 songs and I'll start charting them, and I'll show up that night and I'll, having never met anybody in the band, shake their hands. Nice to meet you. Let's get to work. Let's do this, So, that kind of thing. I just focus on me. A lot of, like you're saying, a lot of other people focus on other people. When I first got I play with for the last 15 years and still continuing to do so, playing with Louis Prima Jr., who is the son of the great Louis Prima, from Jungle Book, Disney's Jungle Book. He was King Louis, and Sing, 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 and all these great jazz standards, Sunday Kind of Love. And I first got that gig, and that was 2010. And I'm sitting in a mastering studio, getting an album that I was working on mastered. And of course, we're supposed to have our phones off. So we took a break and I checked my messages, and there was a slew of messages. And I had just gotten this Louis Prima gig, and it says, call me immediately. And I called and I said, what's going on? And I literally had I don't even know if we'd played a gig yet. I don't even think we'd played a show. And he sent me a few texts from this person who was a drummer and apparently wanted that gig and was ripping me to shreds.
Come on.
Oh yeah, man. Like this guy, you have no idea how unreliable he is. He's an alcoholic. He's a drug addict. And
What?
like I was 20 years ago, but it was like, and this guy was intentionally writing to Louis to sabotage my gig, to grab that gig. So that's just one instance of a million that I could cite. People want your gig, they don't want to work for it. They want to take it from you. Right? How about you do the homework?
Right.
Sit down in woodshed, get a few blisters going, and go get that gig. Come take it from me.
Right.
I encourage you to take it from me.
Well, and when
but you're not going to take it like that.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, when we first got to meet you and got to know you, I was so surprised and taken aback by the preparation that you put in for, any song that you're doing. I mean, literally sitting down with pen and paper and writing notes about it and charting the whole song out. And you won't play a song unless you've done that.
I need to know the song. A lot of people want to learn the drum parts, but I want to know the song. I want to know what the bass player's doing. I want to know what's inside the song. I want to know what the lyrics are. If the lyrics are, a sad, sensitive love song, I'm not going to be just bashing my brains out. I'm going to be serving the lyrics. So it's important to do your homework, know the song. Don't just recite the drum parts, because I don't think that serves anybody well.
Yeah.
So I try to take as many notes as I can and try to serve it as best I can.
So can you kiss and tell us who's been in Shabby Road?
Yeah, you've got
recording
some
studio
stories there.
I know people love to hear.
Well, we've had Black Sabbath who's been in there. We've had Ted Nugent in there. Ted was there for 5 days. That was and so Jack, we keep saying Jack, your son, Jack.
Yes.
And we're doing Channel 3 coming up to promote the new single. It was about the third day that Ted Nugent was at the studio, and I'm outside, and we're just taking a break, and Ted's out there, and the great Tommy Aldridge, one of my drum heroes, was playing for him. So we're out there hanging out outside, and the Channel 3 SUV drives up to the studio, and this woman says, is this where Ted Nugent's playing? Yeah, Ted's here. We didn't want to say anything because we weren't supposed to say
that he's there.
But so it's like, yeah, he's here because it was Channel 3. And he had just done their show that morning, and he forgot something. He left something at the studio. So the woman goes to the back of the Channel 3 car and pulls out this armful of arrows.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And Ted's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Thanks, man.
It's not like I left a
you forget your phone or whatever.
Right.
I forgot a quiver of arrows. Like, you go to the library. Oh, where are my arrows? It was crazy. But we've had the incredible Dick Wagner in there. Now, a lot of people don't know that name, but you know his work. He is one of the most prolific utility players of all time in rock and roll. He, when you hear Aerosmith's Train Kept a Rollin',
right,
that's Dick Wagner playing guitar.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not Joe Perry.
Okay.
When you hear some Air Supply or Ambrosia,
Yeah.
that's it. Welcome to My Nightmare, Alice Cooper,
Yeah.
record, and so many subsequent records. He's worked with Lou Reed on the Rock and Roll Animal. So that's great live version of Sweet Jane. That's Dick Wagner. So Ryan McKay and I had a band called Crash Street Kids, and Dick Wagner wanted us to be his band. So we did a show with Dick, and we're going to continue to be his touring act. And our band's got 5 records out as it is, but he loved the band, and he and Ryan had a nice relationship. So we were going to do more, but unfortunately Dick passed away. Yeah. So we've had,
You had Jack, I think one of your, I don't know what they are, from Guns N' Roses. He had you had some
box
speaker or something.
Yeah. Well, I've worked
the names of these
I've
things.
worked with Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses, Michael Bruce from the Alice Cooper group. And of course, Michael's responsible for me being on the new Alice Cooper record, which is, I can't even tell you.
And you played for President Trump.
Played for President
Oh yeah,
Trump.
That was
we got to
last
hear that.
summer.
We got to
You
hear
have to
that
tell
story.
us that story. What
That
was
was-
it like? What was he like in person?
Victor Orban was there. Melania was there. So it was, a command performance for the president, his wife, and Victor Orban, and in Mar-a-Lago in his ballroom. And we played the gig. And afterwards, there was front 5 seats in the front row. They all stood. It was Melania, the president, Victor Orban, looked like his daughter, and then Melania had a guest. And they all stood up and they walked to the front of the stage. And we just sat down on the stage, and just had a little powwow for a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
It's amazing.
And Melania, I was like, oh, you play the drums so well. And I'm like, oh, she's so gosh, a good looking lady.
And you started wandering around Mar-a-Lago, didn't you?
Yeah, kind of
You got
got
in trouble?
I got a little trouble. I walked through a door and I guess I wasn't supposed to go through. But they were really cool. The president was absolutely charming. He, hey, we got to do this again. It's like, all right, and the band had played there once before. With the president, it's if something's good, that's good.
Yeah.
But there's always got to be something better, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the lead singer of our band had been there before, and Donald Trump. Oh, well, so I look out and we're playing a certain song and president starts air drumming. He's, 30 feet directly in
Right.
front of me,
Right.
So I look up, I see him air drumming and I point at him like, yeah. And so he goes, we had a moment, and like we did. He goes, I love you. And he points to our singer. He goes, I love him the best, but I love you.
Oh, tell me you got his autograph,
Donald Trump.
please.
I didn't. It's just
It's just something you don't want to do. Like, is that like a taboo thing?
you meet so many, in my business, you
Yeah.
meet so many people, it's like, you're back in the day, you're partying with Aerosmith and you
Yeah.
don't go, oh, by the way, wipe your nose and can you sign this for me?
God.
It's
Yeah.
kind of just didn't want to.
And like be weird about
Yeah,
it.
you just didn't want to. You kind of wanted to be in the moment.
Yeah.
It's hard to do sometimes because you do want to get that that picture with the president of the United States.
So did you really party with Aerosmith?
Yeah.
It's like a guilty kid that you that
yeah.
answer. You just got busted. Was like, yeah.
Tell us about that. I don't think we've heard that.
What's interesting? So my old band Monarch, that was the band that I formed with my brother back in the day, and we entered this battle of the bands. I did. It was $40 to enter, and the guys, we were these ragtag, just scrappy little, all these other bands in the DC, Washington, DC, Baltimore, Eastern Seaboard, they were these polished acts. And one of the bands I think was Head East. Save my life, I'm going down for the last.
Oh, yeah.
And they were
Yeah,
this battle of the bands. So you could sign up at this local music store. So I put down $40, which back in the day was, 79. That's a lot of money. And so the guys are like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, I just spent $40, so we're doing
Yeah,
it.
not getting the money back.
Yeah. So we entered in this battle of the bands. It was a huge club out there called Louis Rock City, legendary rock and roll club in the DC area. And we won. We won that thing.
Wow.
And it was like this $10,000 first prize
Oh,
and
that's
recording studio, and this big concert promoter from New England caught wind of it. He was a huge promoter. He booked Madison Square Garden. He booked Queen. He booked Blue Oyster Cult, Heart, party with them, a lot. Blue Oyster Cult, those bands and stuff. And so he was a big, big deal. He booked Nassau Coliseum. He booked all these huge arenas with the top name acts in the world. He saw that we won this thing and he wanted to sign us. So all of a sudden we're his band. He's our manager and we're going to Maine and Aerosmith's playing. You want to open up for them? Hey, Cheap Trick's playing.
Wow.
I got Aerosmith down at Baltimore Civic Center. I got Queen in Madison Square Garden. I've got Blue Oyster Cult or I got Frampton at Providence Civic Center. And we were just tagging along, And sometimes we get on the gig, and sometimes we wouldn't, but we'd be hanging out there. So when you were backstage before the show, our manager is the king of the place. It's his show. So Ann and Nancy Wilson were hanging out and doing, things. And
Doing things.
we found ourselves in a lot of pretty cool situations. So yeah,
I know
Aerosmith.
one situation you were at a piano in your maybe your underwear?
No, there's no underwear involved in that.
What was that story?
It was some dress. So we had this, we were being put up, I was on tour with Louis Prima Jr. and we were in Seattle. And instead of hotel rooms, they had a stack of apartments, like 4-level apartments and 3 bedrooms each. And each one, when you walk in, had this gorgeous foyer with the baby grand piano. And Ryan McKay and Mikey Bones, our dear friend, God rest his soul. And we were all sharing the same flat, the same floor. And so Ryan sits down at the piano and it's just gorgeous, beautiful floral thing with a bay window and it's just beautiful. And he's like, get a picture. So I, got a picture and I say, get one of me. So he's getting the camera ready and I just drop trowel. Turned around, like Monty Python. If you've ever seen the Monty Python, and now for something completely different, my butt cheeks, and I'm just like,
oh my God,
it's horrible. Everybody in the world has seen my butt.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Now, one question that I ask everybody, and you probably are not prepared for this. What's your favorite sandwich, AD?
What's my favorite sandwich? I would think maybe like a toasted meatball sub.
Oh.
Yeah, with marinara and green pepper and onion on that and some cheese.
Sounds good. Ketchup or no ketchup?
No
on on hot dogs.
Oh, on hot dogs. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Chicago. They say you're not supposed to put ketchup on hot dogs. I do.
Ketchup and mustard.
Chicago and hot dogs. You can get in a scrap about that.
They're pretty serious
but
about
I love Chicago hot dogs because I'm from Chicago.
You go to Portillo's, right?
But I have a gluten allergy, so I can't have their buns. Oh. I know. It's awful. But so yeah, meatball. Meatball is we just ordered. So there's this place online called Gold Belly. And you can order from different restaurants around the country. And I ordered gluten-free meatballs from this place in Chicago. Yeah. I don't remember the name.
Bertolini's or something along that lines.
So delicious.
Yeah.
But they just, what do they pack them on ice and dry ice?
Dry ice, and they send it out. So we had a cake that we got brownies when Pat McMahon was here for his birthday because he requested brownies. But it's this cool thing online that you can order from all over the country, the famous restaurants. You know what I mean? The ones that people say, oh, yeah, if you go there, you got to visit this.
Ooh, there's a lobster roll shack outside of Brunswick, Maine. I'd like one of those right now.
Oh, I could go for a lobster
That's
roll.
good to know.
So I may have to amend my meatball sub there.
Right?
So we only have about 5 minutes left, but I'd like to ask you, since this is cross-examined, and how you can relate this with maybe your relationship with prayer and God. And do you pray about certain situations? And how would you say this has brought you maybe closer to the Lord?
Well, honestly, when we were kids growing up, we went to church every Sunday, and Mom was raised Catholic and then switched to Methodist when she married my father. So we went to church every Sunday, and I didn't understand it because they really didn't have a Sunday school where we were going to church. So we would sit in the pews, and as an 8-year-old, quotes from the Bible, I just didn't even understand thou and thee and thus, and I just it was, to me, it was horrific. And then Jesus Christ Superstar came along.
Yes, you told,
and hit me right in my musical jaw.
Bring it right back to music.
Yeah. And so before it became famous, before it went on Broadway, they did a trial run in a little town in Maryland called Gaithersburg. And they had a little dinner theater called Diadem Restaurant. And we went to see it, Mom and Dad, I was probably 10. I think my brother was 11, sister, younger brother and sister. But they took us older kids to my brother and I to see it. Put your clip-on ties on, and we're going to go see this play. And I'm like, what's it called? Jesus Christ Superstar. It was. I left in tears. I left completely changed. And I've always been spiritual, incredibly spiritual. And matter of fact, that my whole career has been built on, you always hear about going to the crossroads and making a deal with the devil.
Sure.
I kind of made a little deal. I remember dropping to my knees one time when I was a young kid and just saying, listen, this is what I really want to do. This is what I want to do the rest of my life.
It wasn't to the devil. It was to God.
No, it was. Yeah. I dialed the right number up for sure. Yeah. And I said, listen, I'm not asking you for anything ever. But if it's possible, if you just maybe can steer me away from the obstacles, I'd like to be able to do this for the rest of my life. I'm not asking you to make me rich. I'm not asking you to make me famous. I just think I just want to do this. I know that I wouldn't last in the corporate world. I saw my father come home from work too many times, loosening his tie. The first thing, before he even says hello, kiss his mom, for the evening.
And your dad, though, was a big deal.
The dad was a television guy, but he would come home with the bromo seltzer, and you could tell he's had a rough day, and I could see it's like I just can't fall into that.
Right.
It was killing me watching. He was working hard, and I was like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to kill yourself to and I get it now. I was young, I didn't understand it. But I just thought, man, if I could make music, if I can just keep doing this, I'll be okay. I don't need to stack up a bunch of gold bricks, and I don't have to live in a fancy house. I just want to make music because I'm socially awkward. It's the only thing. It's like my only skill that I can't fix your carburetor. I can't reshingle your roof. So I've got a skill. It makes people happy. It makes me happy. I'm socially awkward. So
He swears he's shy.
I'm shy too.
It is.
The two of you are
getting
quite a pair.
I get shy.
But I get in a group situation. You can't knows me.
He's so shy. He dropped his pants for a picture at the piano.
Yeah. Well, that's compensation. That's overcompensation. That's what that is. It's just like, so I just, and somebody asked me recently, do you feel you're successful? And I'm like, well, I'm certainly not the wealthiest man in any room I ever walk into, but, my car is the most likely to break down in the parking lot, but I'm probably the happiest soul in the room because my friends along the way, I've got a lot of rock star friends, and some of them are dead. Quite a few of them are dead. Others are broke, and they've lived the dream. You hear their music on the radio every day, and they're broke. Now, I'm not saying I'm stacking up gold bricks, but I'm alive and I'm working, and I'm 66 years old. And so if somebody said, well, do you feel you're successful? I would say, absolutely.
You're still doing what you love to this day.
I dropped to my knees when I was 11 years old and said, if we can make this happen, I'd be forever grateful. And I am.
And you have your memories, and you might not have money, but would you rather be rich without these memories or who you are today?
As far as what's in my soul, I'm loaded.
Yeah.
I'm as rich as anybody I know. Mm-hmm. So God answered my call. He said, we can make that happen for you. And I kept up my end of the bargain.
Yep.
I said, I promise you I'll work hard. I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be forthright. I'm not going to be one of those showbiz punks that we've talked about earlier.
Right.
I'm a terrible businessman. So the fact that I'm in this business still is amazing. I focus on one thing. That's my music. And nothing, well, and my family, obviously.
Sure.
But, my daughter and my granddaughters. But, it's to me, it's a labor of love. It's what I do. It's all I really want to do. So as far as my spirituality goes, I'm deeply spiritual. If you've noticed at the recording studio, there's the 2 studio speakers, and up there is a nice old gold gilded leather bound Bible that I take down all the time. And whenever something happens, I look up at that thing and like, thank you, Lord. Or sometimes look at it and go, what's going on? How do we fix this? It's my reference, and it's there. I can touch it. I read it. I've read the Bible before, but I won't read it from front to back anymore. I'll pick like when things are going wrong, I'll just grab the book of Job and go, all right.
You got to go there.
Sure. That's a go-to.
Yeah.
It's kind of worn. Those pages are worn out in my Bible, But it's been a very personal relationship with God, with me. Just like anything, I'm an open book about a lot of things, but I don't talk much about politics and religion and my family. Those are the things that everything else in my life is an open book. God knows. The picture of me on the piano is out there. Everything, when I do interviews, things like this, I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you need to know and everything you need to know. But there are some things I just keep to myself just because they're private. But God has been, and my religion and my spirituality has been in the forefront every day. And running into you, meeting you guys, and the trips abroad, and hanging out at the Tones and Bones has been really good way for me to plug back in and get a little bit more active. And I'm getting a little older and a little slower. So now I have a lot more introspection time. And so I've been really embracing this spirituality a lot more lately.
Beautiful.
And it's healthy. You know, people like, you believe in a myth or a fairy tale. It's like, you know what? You got to believe in something.
Right.
Now, if people want to reach out to you for gigs, or you also offer drum lessons, can you tell them how to contact you?
Yeah, again, I'm a terrible businessman. I just hit me up on Facebook. That's all. I don't have an Instagram. I don't do anything.
A.D. Adams.
A.D. Adams. And I'm available.
Where does the AD come from? Because your first name's Mark.
My first name's Mark. Yeah,
I want to know right now.
Oh, I played ball. I was one of the long-haired jocks in school, and so I played baseball and stuff. And when you're a young jock, everybody's hey Thunder. Everybody's got a cool nickname. So I was Adams. So it's the Ad Man. And then it got shortened to, like I had a buddy of mine, Robbie Hinton. We called him Hinton. Hey, Ton,
Gotcha.
Just because we thought we were cool. And so the Ad Man got shortened to AD, and Ton got shortened to hey T, what's up? So it was AD. And then I used Mark for a while, but then my first band started getting really popular and we started traveling more. And I had a girlfriend at the time living back home. And so this Mark Adams was listed in the DC phone book. So anybody could look it up. Matter of fact, you had to pay to keep your name out of the phone book back then.
Right.
And I didn't have that kind of money. So I'd be out on the road and, I'd call home, to pay phone. Oh, hi, honey. How you been? I miss you. Who's Heather? And I'm like, what do you mean, who's Heather? A girl named Heather just called here last night at 2 a.m. asking for you. And I'm like, jeez. So this AD thing came in pretty handy. So it's just at this point, that's how I got the name, and that's why I kept it. And it's actually afforded me a lot of privacy, which is cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
Protected me in my scallywag days, which are long over, by the way.
Well, we are about time's up. Would you mind coming back here again sometime?
I would love to. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough, AD. Love your stories. And I know you've got a ton more. You're going to have to come back and share them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Some of them, before we started, it's like, okay, here's the stories we can't talk about. So thank you for that. Oh, man, that would have been a disaster. Career over.
Well, we love you. We appreciate you.
I love
being
you back.
here.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks, sweetie.
Well, thanks for joining us on Cross Examine with the Gerbers. Don't forget, we also run Gerber Injury Law. We are an injury law firm. So if you, a friend, family member needs help with an injury case, please get in touch with us. Look us up on GerberInjuryLaw.com.